All right, so we're going to do something real quick here. We're going to talk about function currying. All right, so it's kind of a shitty concept, or it's kind of confusing. So let's say that we're tasked with writing a function that returns something simple, like let's say we're given three numbers and we want to add all of them, and a function that returns that. Okay, so that's simple enough. Let's just go function, and this is all in JavaScript. So let's say function, we'll call it adder, and then we'll give it three parameters, and you could do this in several different ways, but we'll just keep it easy, num1, num2, num3, and then you would just return num1 plus num2 plus num3, right? Simple, simple, simple. And then we'll just console log that to make sure it works. Console log adder, and we'll give it 1, 2, and 3. So that should give us 6. So let's go back. And what's the name of that file? Add 3. So node add 3.js. Okay, cool. It gives us 6, which is what we're looking for. All right. So let's say that you're doing that, and then some interviewer or some busybody is like, well, yo, I want you to use function currying to be able to call that function in this manner. And this is a little bit different, and you will see why. Okay, you see the difference there? The function's named the same, but it's invoked 3 separate times here. It's only invoked once here with 3 parameters. Here it's invoked 3 times with 3 different parameters. So how would you go about doing that? And that's what's called function currying. Function currying is calling a function that has one or more parameters that also returns a function embedded within it that has only one parameter, right? So this is a good example to do that by. Let's take off the num2 and num3. And let's go function adder. So when adder is invoked, what it will return will be a function. And in that function, we'll have num2. Okay. And then what that will do in turn is it will return a function. If I could type. And then that will have num3, for example. And then what that does, since we have in the scope chain, we have all of the variables now, then you can just return, what was it, num1 plus num2 plus num3, right? So if you look at that, that's a little bit more harder code to step through than the original. So let's try to call it like this. We'll try to call it the same way that we call our other function, which is invoking it once with 3 different parameters. So let's go back. And we get a 6. That's because I didn't save it. Now we saved it. Go back. And it just returns a blanket function. It just says, when you invoke this one time with 3 parameters, it's going to return a function. It's not returning down here what we want. It's just returning, hey, whenever you call this function, it's going to return this, which is a function, which has another function, which returns something. So in order to call it properly using the function currying syntax, you actually have to call it 3 different times. And when we call it like this, it actually works. We have the 6 there. So it gets called first, adder, and then that returns something. When that returns something, this function is fired off because this returns a function. This function is set off right here with num2. That returns a function, which is num3. It returns here. We set off num3 and invoke it like that. And then that returns num1 plus num2 plus num3. So that's just a quick dive into function currying. That'll be some kind of bullshit interview question somebody will try to give you. So good.